Have you ever wanted something so badly you could almost taste it? That promotion, that relationship, that perfect version of your life. You visualize it, you affirm it, you hustle for it. You lie in bed at night and you manifest it in your mind, and yet it feels just out of reach. The universe, it seems, isn't listening. What if I told you that you've been manifesting all wrong? What if the secret to having everything come to you isn't about controlling the external world, but about mastering the internal one? What if the most powerful manifestation engine ever devised wasn't created by a modern guru, but by a group of ancient philosophers, slaves, emperors, and playwrights who faced exile, war, and betrayal, and yet found a profound and unshakable peace? This is the promise of Stoicism. Not a passive resignation to life, but an active, fierce, and incredibly practical philosophy for getting what you truly want. Not the trinkets and titles the world tells you to chase, but the things that actually fulfill the human soul. Purpose, resilience, virtue, and a deep, unwavering calm. Today, we are diving into 10 Stoic rules that will reframe everything you think you know about getting what you want. This isn't magic, it's better. It's a science of the soul. And if you apply these rules, I can promise you this: everything you are truly meant to have will begin to find its way to you. Rule number 1: your power lies in your perceptions, not your circumstances. Let's start at the very foundation. The Stoics believed that between an event and our reaction, there is a space. And in that space lies our freedom and our power. Epictetus, a man born into slavery, opened his famous Enchiridion with this line: "Some things are within our power, while others are not." It sounds simple, almost too simple. But let that sink in. Your boss's mood? Not in your power. The traffic jam? Not in your power. The stock market? Not in your power. What is in your power? Your judgment, your opinion, your desire, and your aversion. In short, your perception. Here's a story. Imagine two young men, both aspiring artists. They both submit their portfolios to a prestigious gallery. Both get rejection letters. The first artist reads the letter. His perception is, "I knew it. I'm not good enough. This gallery only accepts people with connections. The world is against me." He gets angry, then despondent. He puts his brushes away. And within a year, he's given up on art entirely. The second artist gets the same letter. His perception is, "Interesting. This is feedback. This is a test of my commitment. What can I learn from this? My current work isn't a fit for them, so I have two choices: improve my work or find a gallery that aligns with my vision." He uses the rejection as fuel. He paints with more passion, more purpose. A year later, he has his own successful exhibition. The circumstance was identical. The outcome was radically different. Why? Because of what happened in that space between the event and the reaction. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, had to remind himself of this constantly. Jotting notes to himself in his campaign tent, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So the first rule of Stoic manifestation is this: before you try to change the world, audit your perceptions. When you feel frustrated, angry, or stuck, ask yourself, what is my judgment about this situation? Is this judgment serving me? Is it based on fact or on a story I'm telling myself? When you master your perceptions, you stop being a puppet jerked around by external events and you become the puppeteer of your own life. That is where true power to manifest begins. Rule number 2, clarify your true desires. What do you really want? We say we want the promotion, but do we? Or do we want the respect, the security, the feeling of being capable and valued? We say we want that person to love us, but do we? Or do we want to feel worthy, to feel connected, to feel seen? The Stoics were masters of drilling down to the core desire. They called this the discipline of desire. Most of us are chasing the shadow, not the substance. Seneca, in his letters to Lucilius, writes brilliantly about this. He says we wear ourselves out in the pursuit of things we think we should want, wealth, status, pleasure, only to find them hollow when we get them. He says we are like sailors who've forgotten their destination. We are tossed about by every wave and wind, never arriving anywhere satisfactory. Let me give you a personal example. For years, I thought I wanted to be a successful content creator. I was chasing subscriber numbers, views, and external validation. And when I hit a milestone, the high lasted for about a day before the anxiety returned. What about the next one? What if I can't maintain this? I was miserable. It was only when I applied this Stoic rule that things shifted. I asked myself, what do I really want from this? And the answers weren't numbers. They were, I want to be useful. I want to express ideas clearly. I want to connect with people on a deep level. I want the freedom to work on projects I care about. That was my true desire. And suddenly, my entire approach changed. I stopped making videos based on what I thought would trend and started making videos on topics I felt were genuinely helpful. I focused on the quality of the script, the clarity of the message, things within my control. The irony? The channel grew faster and more sustainably than ever before. But more importantly, the work became fulfilling. I was no longer chasing a shadow, I was building the substance. The Stoic goal is to desire only what is virtuous and aligned with your nature as a rational being. So ask yourself, behind the car, the job, the relationship, what is the core feeling, the core virtue, the core state of being you are actually after? When you align your desires with your deepest values, you stop wasting energy on dead ends and you start building a life that is genuinely rewarding. The universe, in its own way, responds to that clarity. Rule number 3, focus on the process, not the outcome. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive rule for modern manifestation, and yet the most powerful. We are obsessed with outcomes. I want to make $1 million. I want to get married. I want to have a six-pack. The Stoics would say, wrong focus. You have zero ultimate control over those outcomes. A market crash can wipe out your money. A person has free will and may choose not to marry you. Genetics and illness can affect your physique. So, what can you control? The process, the actions you take right here, right now. Think of an archer, a Stoic archer. What is his job? To take the best possible shot. He can control his stance, his grip, his aim, his breath, the release. He can do everything perfectly, but once that arrow leaves the bow, it is no longer in his control. A gust of wind can take it, the target might move, the judge might be blind. If the archer's happiness and self-worth are tied to hitting the bullseye, he is setting himself up for a life of frustration and anxiety. But if his satisfaction comes from taking the perfect shot, from executing the process with excellence and virtue, then he is always successful, regardless of the outcome. He has done his part. Marcus Aurelius had the weight of the world on his shoulders. He couldn't control whether there was a plague or whether barbarians invaded, but he could control whether he ruled with justice, wisdom, and temperance. He could focus on the process of being a good emperor every single day. Apply this to your life. You want that everything to come to you? Stop staring at the target. Fall in love with the practice. Don't focus on writing a best-selling book. Focus on writing one excellent page every single day. Don't focus on becoming a CEO. Focus on being the most diligent, creative, and helpful person in your current role today. Don't focus on finding your soulmate. Focus on being the kind of person a soulmate would be attracted to, kind, interesting, and emotionally available. When you pour all of your energy into the process, into the actions that are virtuous and within your control, two things happen. First, You find immediate satisfaction and peace in your work. Second, and this is the magic, the outcomes you used to chase so desperately often start to materialize as a natural byproduct of your excellent process. You become a master of your craft. And the world rewards mastery. Rule number 4. Practice negative visualization. Premeditatio malorum. I want you to try something with me. Right now, for just a moment, I want you to imagine that you've lost it. The thing you value most. Your career. Your most important relationship. Your health. Feel the weight of that for a second. The grief. The emptiness. Now, open your eyes. It's still here. How do you feel? This practice, which the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, is not about being pessimistic. It is the ultimate tool for cultivating gratitude and destroying anxiety. It's about mentally rehearsing loss to fully appreciate what you have right now. Seneca advised us to periodically tell ourselves, you may not have this forever. Not to create fear, but to create value. He said, he who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive. When you consciously imagine losing your job, you stop taking your current employment for granted. You show up with more purpose. When you imagine losing your partner, you stop focusing on their minor flaws and you cherish their presence today. When you imagine a health scare, you feel a profound gratitude for the simple ability to breathe and move. This practice does two things for manifestation. First, it grounds you in a state of deep appreciation for the present, which is the most attractive and powerful state from which to build a future. Desire comes from a sense of lack. Gratitude comes from a sense of abundance. Which frequency do you think is more magnetic? Second, it inoculates you against the fear of failure. If you've already mentally rehearsed your business failing and you've realized you would survive, that you would learn, that you would adapt, then the terror of taking the leap vanishes. You are free to act with courage because you've already faced the worst-case scenario in your mind and found your resilience. And courage is a key that unlocks doors fear keeps locked. Rule number 5, amor fati, love your fate. This is a concept popularized by Nietzsche, but it is pure, distilled Stoicism. Amor fati, a love of one's fate. It means to accept and even love everything that happens to you. The good, the bad, the embarrassing, the painful, seeing it all as necessary fodder for your growth. The Stoic mantra, as Marcus Aurelius put it, is the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Another story. Thomas Edison's massive laboratory in New Jersey caught fire in 1914. It was a colossal loss, years of work and priceless prototypes gone. As the fire raged, Edison reportedly said to his son, "Go get your mother and all of her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again." He then got to work, energized, saying, "There is great value in disaster. All our mistakes are burned up. Thank God we can start anew." That is amor fati in action. He didn't just accept the disaster, he found a way to love it, to see it as an opportunity. In our own lives, this is the rule that transforms victims into alchemists. That heartbreak that shattered you, it taught you about your own capacity for love and your need for self-worth. Love it. That business failure that bankrupted you, it gave you a brutal education no MBA ever could. Love it. That illness that slowed you down, it forced you to reevaluate your life's priorities and find depth you never knew you had. Love it. When you practice amor fati, you stop fighting reality. You stop wasting energy on, why me? And you start asking, what now?
You see every event, without exception, as raw material for your development. You become an unstoppable force because you can no longer be stopped by anything. Everything that comes to you is fuel. Everything is grist for the mill. This is how you manifest an unbreakable character, and an unbreakable character is the foundation upon which every other true success is built. We've laid a powerful foundation so far, mastering your perception, clarifying your desires, focusing on process, practicing gratitude through negative visualization, and learning to love your fate. These are the inner pillars. Now let's move into the outer game, the practical daily actions that turn this philosophy into tangible results. Rule number 6, action is the antidote to anxiety. The Stoics were not armchair philosophers. They were men and women of action. They understood that thinking and debating were useless if not translated into deeds. Anxiety, worry, and overthinking are manifestations of energy that has nowhere to go. It's potential energy that has become stuck and toxic. The Stoic solution is simple, though not always easy. Convert it into kinetic energy. Move. Act. Seneca, who was incredibly wealthy and powerful, would still practice living in poverty. He would sleep on a hard bed, wear simple clothes, and eat only the plainest food for days at a time. Why? He was taking action to inoculate himself against the fear of loss. He wasn't just thinking about being resilient, he was practicing it. When you are paralyzed by the fear of starting a business, don't just sit there and spiral. The Stoic response is to take the very next, smallest, most obvious step. Draft the first paragraph of the business plan. Research one license. Make one phone call. When you are heartbroken and ruminating, don't just lie in bed. The Stoic response is action. Go for a run. Clean your apartment. Call a friend and do something with them. The action itself, no matter how small, breaks the hypnotic spell of anxiety. It reminds you that you are an agent, not a patient. You have a will. You can affect your world. Epictetus, with his no-nonsense style, said, "If you want to be a writer, write." It's breathtakingly simple. Manifestation is not a state of wishful thinking. It is a state of constant, deliberate, virtuous action. Stop waiting for the mood to strike you. The action will create the right mood. The doing is the manifestation. Rule number 7, practice voluntary discomfort. This follows directly from the last rule. We live in a world obsessed with comfort. We seek the path of least resistance at every turn. But the Stoics knew that this is a path to weakness and fragility. A life of ease makes you soft, and a soft person is easily broken by the inevitable hardships of life. So they prescribe the regular practice of voluntary discomfort. You deliberately make your life a little bit harder to make yourself a lot stronger. Take the cold shower instead of the hot one. Walk instead of driving for short trips. Skip a meal and fast for a day. Sleep on a firmer mattress. Take on a difficult project you're not sure you can handle. Why? It's not about masochism. It's about building resilience. You are proving to yourself in a small way that you can handle discomfort, that you are tougher than your cravings. This builds a deep, unshakable confidence. Cultivating appreciation. After a cold shower, a hot one feels incredible. After a day of fasting, a simple meal tastes like a feast. You reset your baseline of pleasure and learn to find joy in what you already have. Reducing fear. By voluntarily facing small discomforts, you drain the larger involuntary ones of their power. You lose your fear of being cold, hungry, or tired. And when you're no longer afraid of these things, what can truly hold you back? This makes you anti-fragile. You don't just withstand shocks, you grow from them. And when you are a person who is growing stronger from every challenge, you become a magnet for responsibility, trust, and opportunity. People sense your solidity. The world gives its greatest rewards to those who can bear its greatest weights.
Rule number 8. Remember, it's all ephemeral. Memento mori. This is the big one, the Stoic meditation on death. Memento mori, remember that you will die. At first glance, this seems morbid, but for the Stoic, it is the ultimate liberation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." When you hold the awareness of your own mortality in your mind, it acts as a filter for trivialities. It forces clarity. That petty argument, meaningless. The fear of what people will think, a waste of precious time. The procrastination on your most important dream, an insult to the finite days you have left. I want you to imagine an hourglass. The sand at the top is the time you have left. It is constantly flowing. You can't stop it. You can only choose what to do with the sand that is in the top bulb right now. This isn't meant to create panic, but purpose. The awareness of death is the engine of life. It is the catalyst that pushes you to have that difficult conversation, to start that business, to write that book, to tell your family you love them. Today. When you live with memento mori, you stop manifesting someday dreams and you start building a today reality. Your priorities become ruthlessly clear. You stop tolerating what drains you and you start pursuing what fulfills you. You become more honest, more courageous, more present, because you know deep in your bones that this moment, this very one, is a gift you will not get back. Use it accordingly. Rule number 9, be a part of the whole, not the center. The old model of manifestation is intensely self-centered. What do I want? How can I get it? The Stoic model flips this on its head. The Stoics believed we are fundamentally social, rational beings designed for cooperation. Our highest good is found not in serving ourselves, but in serving the common good. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, constantly reminded himself, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." Your success is inextricably linked to the well-being of your community. How does this help you manifest? When you shift your focus from "what can I get" to "what can I contribute," you tap into a different kind of energy. It's the energy of service, of value, of connection. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who seem to have a truly abundant life. They are almost always givers. They are helpful, they are mentors, they create value for others. And because of this, people are drawn to them. Opportunities flow to them. Trust is given to them freely. Stop trying to be a successful person. Try to be a valuable person. How can you use your skills to solve a problem for others? How can you make your corner of the world a little bit better? How can you be a better son, daughter, friend, colleague, or citizen? When you align your personal ambitions with a mission to contribute, you remove the friction of selfishness. The universe or society or whatever you want to call it seems to conspire to help those who are helping others. Your work becomes a service, and success becomes a natural byproduct of that service. Everything you want starts to come to you because what you want is now aligned with what is good for the whole. Rule number 10. The obstacle is the way. Transform barriers into fuel. We've touched on this, but it deserves its own rule as the grand finale. This is the core of the Stoic manifesto for manifestation. Every single obstacle, every setback, every no, every failure is not a block to your path. It is the path. It is the raw material for your growth. It is the chisel that sculpts you. It is the fire that tempers your steel. Ryan Holiday brilliantly popularized this phrase, but it comes straight from Marcus Aurelius. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way
becomes the way. Let's synthesize all the rules into this final, powerful practice. When you face an obstacle, master your perception. Rule number 1. See it not as a disaster, but as a training exercise. Clarify your desire. Rule number 2. Your desire is no longer to have the obstacle removed, but to use it to build your virtue, your strength, your creativity. Focus on the process. Rule number 3. What is the very next small action you can take to move through this obstacle? Love your fate. Rule number 5. Accept it. Embrace it. This is your material now. Take action. Rule number 6. Move. Do something. Anything. Break its spell. The person with no obstacles has no need for courage, for resilience, for creativity. They remain weak. You should be grateful for your obstacles. They are the universe's way of asking, how badly do you want this? Are you worthy of the thing you seek? They are the qualifying exams for a better life. When you internalize this, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and you start seeing yourself as an alchemist of circumstance. Your entire relationship with reality changes. You stop praying for an easy life and you start building a strong character capable of handling a difficult one. And in that strength, you find that everything you ever truly needed, the confidence, the resilience, the purpose, the peace, was forged in the very struggles you once prayed to avoid. So there they are. 10 Stoic rules that will change how you relate to your desires, your actions, and your life. This isn't a quick fix. It's a fundamental rewiring. It's the difference between trying to command the waves to be calm and learning how to sail in any weather. The sailor doesn't get everything he wants. He might want the wind to always be at his back, but he gets everything he needs, the skill, the resilience, and the mindset to reach his destination regardless of the storm. Manifestation, in the Stoic sense, is not about bending the world to your will. It is about aligning your will with the nature of the world, and in doing so, becoming an unstoppable force of virtue, action, and peace. The things you are meant to have, the relationships, the successes, the inner peace, will not come to a person who is desperate, fearful, and focused on lack. They will come to the person who has done the inner work, the person who is clear, who is grateful, who acts with courage, who serves others, and who sees every single event, good or bad, as a gift. That person can truly say, everything will come to me, because they have become the kind of person worthy of receiving it. Now the process begins. Not tomorrow, today. What is the one small obstacle in front of you right now? Look at it. And remember the words of the emperor in his tent, the slave in his school, the playwright in his exile. The obstacle is the way. Go find your way.